That's a lot of sung highly.
Ooh, bacon.
Greetings, tasty morsels. This is Reverse BLT here. Welcome back to the channel. I am about to watch the trailer for the second season of Halo, which is going to be on Paramount Plus. The first season was admittedly a bit of a mixed bag. I think we can all agree that, there were some missteps, but on balance, I actually did enjoy it.
Unsubscribe.
I thought they captured a lot really well. There were a few things that I think they definitely could have done a little better. There were a few moments that were a little illogical. And the single biggest issue I think we all had with the first season was just they really couldn't figure out how to make Quan relevant until a little too late in the season. I think I see where they're going with that character, and I think it could be really cool, but they waited too long. And I think it's probably because they were trying to preserve some of the mystery of where they were going with that. But I really enjoyed getting a little bit of, a little more of this sort of look at what it means to be a Spartan, like how, watching Chief sort of forced to deal with his humanity for the first time, basically since he was a little kid. I think they captured the, let's just call it what it is, psychopathy of Dr. Halsey really well. I really enjoyed the way they did Cortana. And I think the guy who's playing Chief is doing a pretty good job too. I did not have a problem with him taking off his helmet, except for that battle that happened in episode 5, I think it was, because that was an active freaking battle zone, and him taking his helmet off there was like, I think I even was like, what the hell in my reaction, because that was stupid. That was a genuinely stupid moment. But him taking his helmet off in general makes perfect sense to me. Spartans take off their helmets, guys. The only reason they don't take their helmet off in the game is so that you can feel like you are Chief. So you never see a face. You mainly just see the inside of the helmet, so you can feel like it's you. You're the guy. You're the 8-foot tall, half-ton killing machine who's mowing down aliens. That's you.
I like it with the helmet on.
Obviously, a show doesn't need to do that. He's not a Mandalorian. He does not have a creed that says he has to keep his helmet on all the freaking time. But don't take it off in active freaking war zones, all right? Because that was dumb. But anyway, I am curious to see where they're going with this. Some of the changes they made to the canon from the games and the novels were interesting to me, even though I know they bugged some people. But I actually really like the concept of the Blessed One, this human who was basically taken by the Covenant and raised to believe that she was a holy prophet for them, when, of course, we who played the games, and I do think the show could have done a little bit of a better job of explaining this earlier, though they did get there at the end. But we who played the games know the Covenant races hate humanity, especially the prophets. They hate humanity so much. And so I really would have liked to have seen just a little bit more of that kind of tension of them having her propped up as this holy figure, knowing how much they despise humanity. But again, that happens when you're trying to preserve elements of a mystery, and so it leads you to kind of keeping a few things too close to your vest that maybe you shouldn't. There were definitely ways to let the audience in on some of that animosity and everything while still preserving a lot of the mystery, because obviously they don't want us to know what's going on with the fullness of the idea of the great journey and the machinations going on within the Covenant as the different races vie for power and all that kind of stuff. So I get why they didn't do it. It's just, that's when you have to really dig deep into your writing toolbox so that you can come up with ways to talk about certain things without ruining all of your mystery elements at the same time. But like I said, that aside, I did really enjoy the concept of the Blessed One. I think the actress who portrayed her did a pretty good job too. So I'm curious to see where some of that stuff goes, especially considering what happened at the end of the season with her. Obviously, the biggest element is that Chief ended up basically getting sort of occupied by Cortana because of the events of the finale. That may have bothered a bunch of people, but I'm excited about it because it's got a lot of narrative potential. And that's what really excites me. It's one of the reasons why I don't just automatically get upset when an adaptation makes a change like that, because there's a lot of potential meat on, to be sort of mined there, I don't know if they'll manage to do it. And I guess, people get upset because maybe on some levels because they fear that they won't do a good job with what they set up. But for me, I reserve judgment on things like that until I see where they're going with it. And I am interested to see where they're going with that. I also very much liked Kai, the other Spartan who experienced emotions for the first time like Chief did. I want to see where they're going with that. It's very interesting to have two different characters who are experiencing the same kind of problem from different perspectives. So I really hope that they don't just drop that storyline. I would like to see Soren again. I think he was a little underutilized in the... he was not underutilized in terms of screen time. He had plenty of screen time, but just underutilized in terms of his impact to the story in the first season. And I want to see them actually continue to build on what they were setting up with Quan, because I do think that will bring some elements from the lore into this. Basically, I think they took two different character storylines, kind of merged them together, and used them as the basis for what they're doing with Quan. So Quan's not actually going to do their story, but her story is made possible because of the elements from that other story. That makes sense. I don't want to say too much because I know a lot of you guys who are watching this show don't know anything about any of the lore, probably haven't even played the games, so I really don't want to spoil anything by accident. But I do think, just suffice to say, there is an interesting angle that I think they could be working on with Quan. They just need to, give her, more reason to exist, and also, drop the annoying kid thing. We get it. At this point, let her go ahead and grow into a more a more likable character, please. Anyway, I'm rambling as always.
What else is new?
There's so much more I could talk about from the first season, but I won't. What I'm hoping to see here is just signs that they are really going to be taking the threads that they set up in the first season and developing them strongly. Signs that we're going to be getting into more of the big ideas from the Halo franchise. I'm hoping that we will start talking about some Forerunners, for instance, and also the Flood. It's about time for us to really start getting into that. And just some clues also as to where they're hoping to go with this. And of course, the one big negative is it's still on Paramount Plus, which I think is just a terrible freaking streaming network. I hate the fact that they make you pay for a light ad experience, which is even worse than just making you pay for no ads. They're very obnoxious about that, and I can't stand it. The only reason I will even be watching anything on Paramount Plus probably is just so I can watch this and maybe some of the Star Trek shows. But other than that, I would not watch this network except for just a couple of shows that I want to see, and then I will literally cancel it immediately after those shows are not on. But anyway, all that being said, let's find out what's going on right now with Chief, Cortana, Halsey, Quan, the Blessed One, if she's still around somehow, and everything else that's going on. Let's get right into this. Halo, Season 2. I hate the little teaser for a trailer thing that they still do sometimes.
People of Reach.
Time for the fall.
I bring you blessings.
Okay, there's the Blessed One talking. Looks like the experience of having emotions is spreading. Got an elite. More Forerunner architecture. Nice image.
Sometimes events are beyond our control.
I'm pretty sure that was an ODST.
And in those moments, we save what we can.
All right, so we are going back to Soren.
I do not see defeat. No!
Okay.
I do not see surrender.
So this season's going to be about the fall of Reach.
alone.
Damn it, I just said I wasn't going to spoil anything.
We have something the enemy.
I'm sorry, guys.
We have heroes.
When the battle ends, they just call it a victory and say it was because of me, because of something I did.
Or something you are. Something you can't see. But you feel it.
Oh, Halsey. It's hard to tell, but I think they actually spent a little more money on the special effects for the elites. I'm gonna definitely have to watch that again because it was noticeable not just for what I saw, but also for what I'm pretty sure I did not see. So, also, it's kind of interesting that that Chief's armor is different. It doesn't have that green sheen to it. I'm wondering if some of this stuff is going to be flashback in a sneaky sort of way that we just don't realize. It also could be a way of representing upgrades, though. I mean, the suit doesn't have to be green, and if he does get an upgrade, it could actually make sense that it wouldn't be green right away. It's just something I noticed. It's not really, to me, it's not really that important. It could also just be a color grading thing, now that I think about it, but it'd be a weird choice. So I'm thinking that's actually young Halsey tapping her finger at the beginning there. Could be wrong, though.
I bring you blessings. Know that I am the instrument of your
Yeah, I'm
extinction.
saying she was almost killed at the end of the last season. We're pretty sure.
Know that I am death.
That's a lot of sung highly.
Events are beyond our control.
And not an ODST, obviously a Spartan, even has a number and everything.
We save what we can.
So we're gonna see a planet get glassed.
I do not see defeat. No! And I do not see surrender. We will not make the stand alone.
We have something the enemy does not.
Wonder who he is.
We have heroes.
When the battle ends, they just call it a victory and say it was because of me, because of something I did.
Or something you are. Something you can't see. But you feel it.
All right. Even with the second watch through, I'm not quite sure that I saw Quan at any point. I thought I might have seen her, but the actress looked like it might have been a different person, so I'm not 100% sure. It was like a blink and you miss it kind of thing. Definitely curious to see what exactly they do. I already spoiled it a little bit. I'm sorry, guys. By mentioning Fall of Reach, which is a major plot point in the timeline of the games.
Asshole.
It happens before the mainline series, but there is a game in which you play through the events of it, and many tears were shed. It definitely looks like a big time course correction in a way, but might not be either, because one of the things I theorized in the first season was that well, not theorized, but we talked about it in the first season, was that there was obviously a lot of just setting up going on, laying the groundwork for a bigger story to be explored later. We saw all the pieces basically being set into place. The Covenant had already been fighting humanity, but it was clear that it was still a humanity that was not on the back foot the way it was at the beginning of the games. A humanity that was holding its own, or at least was still being led to believe that it was holding its own against this, conglomeration of advanced aliens. It looks like this season is poised to shift that. So probably what they were going for was the idea of the classic structure that we saw, let's say, with something like Star Wars, the original trilogy, right? Where you have the first movie, which is a little more, how to say it, upbeat in a way, but it ends on a bit of a downer. And then the second movie is really where everything hits the fan, and you end with like everybody like, oh my God, like where do we go from here? And I think that's kind of where they were going. Like, with the first season is more like, is humanity kind of at its height? Things haven't gotten super bad yet, but you get little hints at like the trouble that awaits. And then this season is when everything hits the fan. Because I talked about it in the first season, where it was like I was surprised that they consolidated everything onto Reach. It made sense from a production standpoint, but it also made a lot of sense from a narrative standpoint, because if you have everything going on Reach, then everybody gets to be there when the shit hits the fan, right? And it makes it hit harder when it hits the fan. And it looks like that's where they're going, where like even seeing as many scenes as we did where the Spartans didn't even have their armor and were still fighting. I think they're really going to try to get really dark in this season. And I'm here for it. They definitely kind of they suggested anyway in this trailer that the whole thing that ended the last season with Cortana taking over Chief is going to be resolved very, very quickly, which bugs me a little, because it's the kind of thing that shouldn't be resolved right away, and the consequences of it for both characters and for Chief's team should be explored for a few episodes before you move past it.
No more yada yadas.
It's the kind of thing I probably would write to last about maybe 3 episodes minimum, and maybe finally end it at the end of the 3rd episode, but we need time to really explore. I don't think I saw Miranda Keyes in that trailer, which was a little odd. We saw her father and we saw her mother, which is another thing they changed a little bit from the books, I'm pretty sure. But we saw them, but not her. At least if we did see her, it was another one of those, sorry, something in my eye, another one of those blink and you miss it kind of things. And speaking of which, like I already said, I'm not sure that I saw Quan, which is interesting either way. Like, if she was in it or not in it, it basically has similar effect, where if she was in it, but in it so briefly that I wasn't even sure I saw her, or if she wasn't in it at all, both say that the people behind the show are trying to de-emphasize the Quan character. I'm hoping that doesn't mean they're intending to just drop her, because there was so much setup going on there, and the things that they were setting up were interesting, and I want to see them pay off. I don't want them to just be like, oh, people didn't like Quan, so let's just get rid of her. Just show us why she was there, show. That's all you need to do. And I think that you started to do that towards the end of the first season. Just continue that. Don't just drop the character. We did see a little tiny bit of Soren. I'm glad to see that it looks like they're going to still be carrying his storyline, because there was some interesting meat there too, because he represents an alternative. You know, he represents what could await a Spartan if they leave, if they choose a different path. You know, one possible look at that. And I'm glad they're also picking up what's happening with the other Spartans in terms of the spread of the rediscovery of emotions. Though I don't think I saw Kai. Did I see Kai? I don't think I did. I saw the Spartan who almost got killed in the last mission in the first season, but I don't think I saw Kai. Or the big black dude with the gravelly voice. I don't think I saw him either. But anyway, it's only so much you can see in a trailer anyhow. So, but what they chose to show us was interesting. And also there was some random new guy who I think we saw quite a lot of. I'm assuming he's Oni, but which is like Office of Naval Intelligence, but I'm not 100% sure. But he definitely seemed to almost be giving orders to Captain Keyes. So curious about where they're going there. Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of the trailer. Are you looking forward to it? Are you looking forward to where we're going? Don't just use this as an opportunity to complain about how they ruined everything with the first season. I already know the complaints about it. We don't need to rehash that.
How about I do anyway?
It's time for a new season. Let's talk about where things could be going and what you're hoping to see. Obviously, I know some of it. We all know you want to see the Halos. We all know you want to see the Flood. We all know you want to see some stuff about the Forerunners and everything. I know those things because I also want to see those things. So I get it. I'm a fan of this franchise, so I want to see those things too. And we can talk about it in the comments. Be a little careful with spoilers.
Oh, that is rich coming from you.
Obviously, we can't assume that everybody has played these games, because trust me, not everybody has. And even fewer people among the people who played the games have experienced any of the lore beyond the games. Trust me on that. So do you still use your spoiler warnings and spaces. Talk about specifically what you're spoiling, like which game, which book, whatever, so that we can try to keep people from knowing what happened in the series if they plan to, say, play the games and read the books, for one thing. But also, we don't know what elements they are going to pick up exactly as they were in the lore, and what elements they're going to pick up but remix. So let's just try to kind of leave as much as we can as a surprise. I actually kind of regret even saying Fall of Reach, though the more I think about it, the more I realize I probably am being too hard on myself with that one, because, you know, everybody was on Reach. We see a planet getting its ass handed to it. It's reasonable to assume it's Reach. So it's probably not that big of a spoiler. But anyway, here I go rambling again. Let me know what you guys thought. As always, do your best to stay safe and be well. And I will see you for the next one. Oh, bye-bye.
I do not see defeat. No! And I do not see surrender.
Overkill. Kill-tacular.